this is different, Chris.
This is different, Dan.
I know you from the intro has got us walking into a studio.
Yeah.
But life gets in the way. And life gets in the way, and it's not that any of us have any kind of diseases or anything like that. It's we both are. Well, we both working men, and just sometimes it just has to be this way, doesn't it?
Well, I think we've said before. I live in Brisbane. You on the northern end of the Gold Coast. Our studio's down on the southern end of the Gold Coast, and like you said before too, work gets in the way, things get in the way. So it's all right, because sometimes when things like this happen, and I've said to you before, we need to start doing this anyway so we can start getting some guests on. So this is the first episode, so we'll learn how to do it, and then hopefully down the track we'll be able to do a few more with some guests from wherever we get it from. It's all progress, if you ask me.
Speaking of guests, I mean, like, where's Belinda Carlisle?
Oh, yeah.
She's supposed to be touring, is there, or has that been called off?
I don't know, actually. I'm not really sure. I haven't really seen much about it, to be honest.
Haven't you?
But, yeah.
Oh, look, I can't keep up with everything. I mean, look, hey, as we are going to air here, the Foo Fighters have just done a gig. First international act in 2 years. Did a big gig at Geelong.
Yep.
And a lot of people flew down there or flew to Melbourne to go see it.
Yep.
And they've announced their big stadium tour for the end of the year. So, yeah, let's see them. And
they've now released dates for a tour in December.
Who's that? Yeah, the Fooies. That's right. Yes, they have. Yes.
Foo Fighters, yeah.
So
that's good. At least some are coming back.
Some are coming back. That's for sure, mate. That's for sure. So, and look, I hope the local guys start getting out there too. That's the big thing is, we want to get the local bands out there and touring and doing shows. And they're probably a bit stinky at, how the Foo Fighters got probably the big stadiums.
Yeah.
See, the outdoor gigs. That's the thing. The indoor gigs are probably still proving to be a bit of a problem. But look, let's hope. Let's hope it's the start of something, and so therefore, let's hope it is the start of something there. And hopefully, fingers crossed that we get to see some more live music out there, because people just love going to shows.
Yep, they love it. They don't go to cinemas much anymore, but they do want to go to see concerts.
Yeah, and you've got a list of artists that you want to see, haven't you?
I do. There's a lot of them, but I won't go through it today. But there's a lot of bands I want to see, which I've got tickets for already, who keep postponing. Hopefully they'll start coming out, and I think it's going to be positive from now on. Yeah,
my daughter's had tickets to Harry Styles, and he's finally cancelled, so they've got to get their money. Oh, not for good. He'll come back.
Okay.
But he has cancelled. He's not postponed. He has cancelled.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So therefore, Harry Styles isn't coming to Australia at this present moment because the lad is very busy.
Yes, I'm sure he is.
I'm sure they all are, I'm sure they all are. So, But anyway, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about the movies, Chris.
Movies. One of your favourite things in life.
And I love movies. Recently I saw a film, and I may have included a cool thing or a get on it. I cannot remember. But I saw a movie about Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys called Love and Mercy.
Right.
And I wasn't actually that keen to watch it. I mean, there was never much on my radar. Two different actors are playing Brian Wilson. It's Paul Dano, who's an actor I really like, who looked very similar to Brian Wilson from the 60s. And John Cusack, who was the last person I would thought to play Brian Wilson, playing him in the 80s. Yet I saw this YouTube video that was going on about how this was the best music biopic ever made. Absolutely brilliant. Piqued my interest, watched it. It's brilliant. I cannot fault this film. It shows Brian Wilson in two stages of his life. The 60s, when he was the genius was coming out. He was about to make Pet Sounds. The mental illness was starting to set in. Everything was sort of happening. And then the 80s, when he's this broken shell of a human being, which John Cusack plays really well. Mm-hmm. So you got the music, the joy of the music and everything, and the the creative genius, and then by the 80s, he's this inward broken person, and it's about how I've forgotten her name. I'm terribly sorry, and I don't no disrespect, but the woman who got him out of that, got him out from under the stewardship of his psychiatrist at the time.
Right.
Kind of had, kind of like with Britney Spears, she has that, she had her father controlling everything she did.
Yeah.
Dr. Eugene Landy, very controversial figure. He literally controlled all of Brian Wilson's music and stuff like that.
Wow.
So, and his life and his finances, everything. And after Brian met this woman who became his manager, he went on to have a very successful career post Beach Boys, and he still tours now and everything, and records music and everything like that. Love and Mercy is the name of one of his songs that came out from the 88 album. And fantastic film. And brilliantly made, acted, written, I thought wonderfully shot. The sound mix was fantastic because of Brian, his head was full of sound.
Yeah, yeah.
And even though he was deaf in his right ear, he recorded everything in mono. Not that the soundtrack's in mono, but it sort of has this wonderful mix that it sort of surrounds you and everything. So Love and Mercy. And it made me think, well, we haven't covered off on music, movies about musicians, movies about bands, because quite frankly, Bohemian Rhapsody came out a couple of years ago now and was a huge success, despite it being a little bit of an iffy film.
Yeah.
Did you see Bohemian Rhapsody?
I've seen. It was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it.
Have you seen it a second time?
Pardon?
Have you seen it a second time?
No.
There you go. If you watch it a second time, you'll actually go, yeah, I'm going to fast forward it to the Live Aid bits.
Oh, really? I do know that once they did the Bohemian Rhapsody, they brought out the Rocket Man. Have you seen Rocket Man yet?
Yes, I did. I really enjoyed Rocket Man.
I haven't seen that one either.
I liked Rocket Man because even though, yes, it was telling the story of the life of Elton John, the way it was staged, it wasn't like the music. It was done like a musical.
Oh, okay, right.
It's not done like a biopic of, and then this happened, and then, which I think is my biggest problem with biopics.
Yep.
And then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. Rocket Man, I thought, was, yes, these things are happening, but the way the musical scenes and nothing's in order. It's not like, he didn't record I'm Still Standing in the 60s, yet it's used in an early part of his life. The songs are used to sing about his life more and used in the form of a musical. Big numbers, compared to Bohemian Rhapsody, which this happened and then that happened and that happened and that happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think Bohemian Rhapsody, I think everyone liked it when they first watched it. I think it's one of those films.
Mm-hmm.
But I've heard of people who went to the cinemas every day to see it.
Oh, wow.
I have heard of that.
That's dedication.
Some people, Queen have got those fans, man.
Yeah.
Queen are one of those. And because of the success of Bohemian Rhapsody, they're all wanting to make a film now.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, The Dirt preceded it.
Yes, The Dirt was another movie I've written down here, which I've read the book. I think the book was amazing. I actually bought the book twice because I had one in Australia and one in London. I loved it so much I bought it again. But that movie to me was just fantastic. Of course, there's a lot of things that I missed out from the book and in their life because it has to be put down into a movie. But very well done, I thought, and very well cast. What do you think?
The casting. I thought the casting was great in The Dirt. I think especially Machine Gun Kelly as Tommy Lee.
Yeah.
As I've said many times, where you lose the actor and see the character.
Yeah.
But they were all great. All the actors who played Motley Crue.
Yeah, the guy who played Nicky Six was really good too. I can't remember who he was.
Douglas Booth.
Yeah,
Douglas Booth.
That's right. Yeah, he was really good at that character. I think Nicky was kind of like, because he was a kind of leader of the band originally, started Motley Crue kind of thing. They got a really good character to casting for him, and it worked really, really well.
Look, with any film, casting is your big thing.
Yeah.
If you don't believe somebody in a role, you're just not going to buy it. You know what I mean? And that, the dirt I thought was superb in that regard. I really, really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I like. I'm a more of a fan. I think there's a Kiss one coming out, but I think from what I've heard, the because Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley control everything with Kiss. Yeah. I'm sure Ace Frehley and Peter Criss will have nothing to do with the movie and will probably be depicted in a way that they will hate. Yeah. But with most bands, the most interesting part is the forming of the band and the formative years. Mm-hmm. Once they become famous, it gets a little kind of, all right, now they're famous. Where do you go? What do you do? And it sort of all runs the same gamut of the too much, excess. But my favorite part of The Dirt is the forming of the band, the early scenes, how they got the band together, that opening, one of my favorite scenes is when they're all in the room together playing Livewire.
Oh, yeah.
And it's Vince's girlfriend who looks and just goes, holy shit, you just sort of like, and then the way Mick Mars sort of has his little thing. I want to make sure you guys aren't dicking around.
Yeah.
And Tommy asks him, how old are you really, Mick? And Mick's like, fuck you teenager. And the guy, it was Ewan Rewald from Game of Thrones who played Mick Mars. I mean, I love the way they get these only one American playing Motley Crue.
Yep.
The rest, Douglas Booth English, Ewan Rewald English, and I forget the name of the actor playing Vince Neil, but he's Australian. So, okay. Yeah. So, The Dirt was something I really liked. I think that was a success on Netflix, but the Bohemian Rhapsody had been in development for a long time.
Yeah.
It had been in development for a very, very, very long time. But
run by the guys from Queen, wasn't it?
Sorry?
That was organised by the guys from Queen.
Yes, it was. Yeah, they were very much behind it. And that's the thing about biopics too, is how much involvement can the people have? Because when can you talk about the warts and all if the people there involved? You're making a movie about me, so I want you to make me look cool. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and whereas apparently with Love and Mercy, Brian Wilson said, yes, show me at my worst, because I was terrible. Yeah, and that's probably where it works. And it brings me to another one, which probably led to it, was I watched the same guy's review on Stardust, which is this film, because he said this is the worst music biopic you've ever seen. Right. Stardust was about David Bowie and his early tour of United States, which led him to form the character of Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah.
Now, Bowie always said he never wanted a biopic made of his life.
Okay.
And he's been very famous in not allowing his music to be used in movies about his life. He's allowed his music to be used, but not as a reference to him. So there's a film that came out in the 90s called Velvet Goldmine, which is by the same director as I'm Not There, which I think is on your list. And Todd Haynes had written this film, and it was all about Bowie and Iggy Pop. And then when he finally, got to the filming stage, David Bowie said, no, you're not using my music. You're not using my image. So he had to create a whole new thing, and he couldn't use Bowie's music. And the same thing happened with Stardust. There's Bowie's family have said, well, no, we respect that. David never wanted a biopic made of his life. And so Stardust is all about Bowie, but there's no music.
Well, there you go.
And you've probably been reading lately, which fills me with so much glee, that Billy Joel, they're making a film about Billy Joel.
Saw that the other day. I didn't think you'd be very happy about it.
It fills me with so much joy, that one. But then they're not allowed to use any of the music or his image or anything like that. So what's this movie going to be about? Some dude from Long Island who plays the piano? Come on.
What do you think of Spinal Tap back in the day? Because that was a classic movie back then. I loved it. I thought it was so funny.
It's the film that set the standard. You could never take a rock music documentary seriously after watching Spinal Tap. And I think it's wonderful. I remember when it came out, and we're still quoting it, and me and my friends still quote it. These go to 11, and there's that fine line between clever and stupid.
Yeah, 1984 it came out.
84, and I remember I watched it on video in 1990. It was about 1990 before I watched it on video, and we just loved it. And yes, it's permanently in my collection. I just love, and it's got so many quotable lines.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, the sun say it's not funny. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
there's so much.
It was one of the first I've ever saw of those kind of things too, which I thought was really good. But it was also nice and funny as well. But I've also written down the decline of Western civilization. So you've spoken about that a few times already. But Metal Gear's number 2. Did you ever watch number 1 part or number 3 part?
No, I've never seen. Part 3 is not so much about the music.
Right.
Part 3 is about the homeless kids in LA, but I've never seen part 1. And I've always probably been a bit remiss. I probably should seek it out because it's about the hardcore punk scene.
Right, okay.
In LA, which was kind of going at the same time as, I mean, when you look at Motley Crue were coming out in 1981, and there's a punky element to Motley Crue.
Yeah.
Especially that early punk. It's fast and furious. It's not slow and heavy. It's fast and furious. But it has that glam edge but the punks from England like the glam. They loved Roxy Music and that glammy look. And Bowie, they loved Bowie. But the American punks were hardcore. They were, you and I could have passed for those LA punks with our shaved heads and our black T-shirts and, we could have. They were hard. I remember, Black Flag coming out from the early 80s from LA, and there were other bands like Flipper and the Dead Kennedys coming out of San Francisco in the late 70s and the early 80s. Yeah. And it was just a real the Germs, which Belinda Carlisle was an early member of.
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
She's not rock and roll.
Crazy, isn't it?
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, Pat Smear from the Germs is now in the Foo Fighters.
Oh, he was originally in the Foo Fighters.
Hey?
He was an original member originally and then left and then came back.
Yeah, he came back, and he was the 4th member of Nirvana when Kurt expanded the sound to when they played live. Pat Smear was the guitarist there. So there's all those great links and everything with those guys. But the hardcore LA punk scene was, they were playing in like a garage, and they were nasty and violent. The cops used to come and break them up, and Henry Rollins would always tell stories about, how the cops would harass them. Yeah. Absolutely harassed by the cops. Yet it seemed to me that the cops seemed to leave the Sunset Strip kids alone. I mean, they probably did bust them, but the way they talked about the punk scene, it was like, they're getting rid of these guys, that's for sure. So, no, I haven't seen part 1, but I should.
Did you ever watch Walk the Line, the one about Johnny Cash? That was released in 2005. I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's very good.
Johnny Cash fan, but
I like Johnny Cash, and it was good. And I think it was the one that set the standard for the current thing of the music biopics. Yeah. Because a few came out after Walk the Line. Yeah. Like, Walk the Line was good. Whether it holds up now, I haven't watched it again recently. My wife really likes it. Joaquin's very good in the role, as is.
He was cast pretty well, wasn't he?
Yeah, and look, Reese Witherspoon won the Oscar for playing June Carter. Yeah. So, you can't follow. And the director, James Mangold, is a director I particularly like. But it just ran that early years, formative later years, and triumphant thing, which Ray, I think, the year before, really sort of had that. And that was nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars and stuff like that. But one that I mentioned, that I sent to you the other day was Dewey Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. Yeah. You ever watched that?
No, I haven't.
It's hilarious, man.
Yeah.
And it just totally takes the piss out of Walk the Line and Ray. It starts off with his impoverished background, how he became this music. And then he goes into all these, like he has a Bob Dylan phase, a Beach Boys phase, goes into this whole, and then his triumphant return, at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or whatever it is. It's like, it's hilarious. I recommend if you can get a chance to watch it, Chris. It's really funny, and the songs are just hilarious. brilliantly funny, and yeah, but it set that up so perfectly. The rock biopic. So yeah, another good funny one is Walk Hard.
Also mentioned the other day to you, Rockstar. Now, Rockstar is a movie with Mark Wahlberg. It's not really a biopic, but it was loosely based on Judas Priest back in the day.
It was based on Tim Ripper Owens.
Yeah, who?
You tell the story, yeah.
Well, he was what, a singer in a cover band.
Judas Priest cover band, yep.
Yeah, and then when Rob Halford left Judas Priest, they put out a call out for singers, and they found Ripper Owens. He was in the band from 96 to 2003 as a lead singer, but then he left. But he's actually now singing for the KK Priest, which is a guitar player. His band now.
Yes,
so he's obviously a pretty good singer, but because Rob Halford's back in, thank goodness.
I mean, as good a singer as Ripper Owens is, Rob Halford, man.
You can't do better.
Rob Halford. Yeah, Rob Halford, man. Come on.
It was really interesting, that movie. I thought it was really, really good. But are you a fan of...
Did you like it? Because a lot of people don't. And do you know it was originally supposed to be George Clooney playing their lead role?
Really?
And I thought he's probably a bit old to have played it. I think Mark
Wahlberg did a great job.
Oh, I don't know. It was okay, but here's a bit of trivia for you. You know, at the end when he hands the mic to another guy,
yep,
in the crowd, who's playing that other? Who is that guy he hands the microphone to?
I can't remember.
It's Miles Kennedy.
Is it really? I'll go back and look at that.
Yeah, have a look at that.
There you
Miles
go.
Kennedy, and you can hear him sing, and it's like, oh yeah, I can hear that.
Yeah. Were you a fan of the Straight Outta Compton movie?
Once again, runs the formula, but yeah, because I liked NWA.
Yeah, that was good.
I really liked NWA. That first album, Straight Outta Compton. I was thinking the other day about it, because I think I was listening to what came up, Young MC and Busta Move.
Oh yeah.
It came out in 1990, and I sort of thought, well, two of the biggest albums of 1990 were MC Hammer, Please Hammer, Don't Hurt 'Em, and Vanilla Ice, Cold as Ice.
Yep.
Those two albums, hip hop records. So these three artists were sort of out with this fun-loving hip hop in 1990, and then, but out of LA in '89 was this stuff coming from NWA that was like a little ferocious and a little scary, and you can imagine white people back then just would have gone, what the hell? And it still stands up. I still will put on, Straight Outta Compton or Fuck the Police, and you sort of go, you sort of still go, wow, this still works. This still works. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed, I watched the other day on YouTube, was the Sound City series. Have you watched any of that?
I watched the movie, the documentary. Are you talking about the series where he goes from town to town or area to area, going through their particular scenes and stuff like that?
They go and talk to all the producers and talk to all the writers who work there, and talk about all the albums. Like they had Fleetwood Mac was made there, Rumours was made there. They had Smells Like Teen Spirit was made in the Sound City thing, and then Neil Young Up the Gold Rush was made. So many bands made albums in Sound City, which is obviously a studio out in LA.
Which I don't think is there anymore. I think it's been done because they talked about that Nev desk.
Dave Grohl got it.
Yeah, he bought it because
he bought it. Yeah, crazy.
I looked at that desk. I was talking to someone who owns a Neve desk, and he said, "Oh, they're expensive."
Oh, really?
Oh, they're very
I'm sure
expensive.
Dave can afford it.
I was just sitting there thinking, well, you couldn't let that desk go.
No, too many history behind that.
Not so much even history, but you know as well as I that certain sound equipment, just something in it. I think they have a life of their own.
Yeah.
You can imagine. To me, that's just not a thing. It's a tool to make records, that's for sure. But you can just grab any Nev desk and do it. But obviously because I think they were all individually made or something like that, there was something obviously about that big desk that just really just like would have something in it.
Yeah.
There's some mojo in it, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
We're running on time soon, but I'll just mention a few other ones. The Runaways was really good. That was released in 2010.
Yeah.
Did you like that?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. I thought Kristen Stewart was great as Joan Jett, and Dakota Fanning as Cherie Curry. Yeah. And I dug the Runaways. I really did. Yeah, and Michael Shannon as Kim Fowley was just spot on. He was a horrible person, but anyway.
One of the originals, I think, from back in the day when I was born was 1987. La Bamba came out with Lou Diamond Phillips.
Yeah, that was one of the early music biopics, wasn't it?
That made it really big back then.
Oh, it was a hugely successful film, and the soundtrack, and the song, and everything. It was like, and all of a sudden everyone went, "Oh, Richie Valens."
Yeah,
the guy literally only had 2 songs. It died at like 16 or something like that, but the story just hit.
Yeah, for sure. And
Hit,
Lou Diamond Phillips, I think, played it really, really well. It kind of threw him in the limelight a bit more, didn't it?
Yeah, he did. It certainly did. Mind you, I got to say, one that because I have been watching one is Amadeus. I've been watching Amadeus. I haven't finished. I love Amadeus. If you just love music, the music, the way it's recorded, and the story of the way because it's not a biopic as such. It's a story about one man's jealousy, over Amadeus's talent. That's what Amadeus is about, and it's one of the greatest films. One Best Picture at the Oscars in '84. It's one of the best films of the '80s. You can see that one's really good. Another one I like is Get On Up, the one on James Brown with Chadwick Boseman playing James Brown. That was the film that I watched and went, "Holy crap! Chadwick Boseman is an amazing actor."
He was Black Panther, wasn't he?
You betcha, yeah. And
he passed away a couple of years ago.
He did, and but when I watched Get On Up, I was like, wow, this guy's great. This guy, I think that's probably why everyone sort of knew what an amazing talent he was, and just kind of went, oh, when he died, everyone kind of went, what? No, I want to see more from this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad. Ray was good. Did you like Ray?
Yeah, Ray's great, but that was mainly down to Jamie Foxx's performance.
Yeah, he was so good in that.
He was so good in that, yeah. Jamie Foxx absolutely lit it up. But it was still very good. It was still a very good film, Yeah. So, I like Ray. Oh, there's so many.
I'm Not There, Bob Dylan.
I never saw that one.
No, I mean either.
But
what a great cast, though.
Oh, what a cast. And the fact that they all played different stages of Bob Dylan's life, and getting Cate Blanchett to play the electric Bob Dylan was inspired casting. And also, once again, Todd Haynes, he directed that. He was worried. He was not I told you about with Velvet Goldmine. He was worried when he was making Don't Look Back. I mean, not Look Back. I'm Not There. That Dylan wouldn't let him use. And Dylan went, yeah, you can.
Oh, did he? That's good.
Yeah. So,
you need these guys doing that. Yeah, Christian Bale did it, and Heath Ledger was in it. And
Richard Gere. Yeah. And I love the fact that it did show different actors playing these different aspects of Bob's life, because Bob Dylan is one of those artists that no one has ever been able to pin down.
Yeah.
The guy's like 80 now, and he still confounds audiences, Yeah. He still really does. He confounds audiences. Like, you'll go see a Bob Dylan show, and chances are he won't even play anything you know. And chances are, if he does play something he's rearranged it so hard, it'll take you about halfway through the song before you go, hey, wait a minute, this is like a Rolling Stone. Do you know what I mean?
That's funny.
And even his own band have said, we don't know what Bob's doing. We just turn up on stage and just follow him in key. He doesn't talk to us. He doesn't tell us. So,
Anyway, pretty time we'll go into the cool thing at the moment, because we're going to run short of time here at the moment. So
that's all right.
We'll go first if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Okay, so I've been recently going through YouTube again. I've discovered this little band from Canada called the Dead South. Now, they are a bit folky, bluegrassy kind of thing, and they have a song. Oh, yes. They have a song called "In Hell I'll Be in Good Company." And my son, who's only nearly 5, he calls it the whistle song. If you watch it on YouTube, you'll understand why he calls it the whistle song, and he dances along with it, because But they play cello and a banjo and a couple of mandolin and acoustics and stuff. But this one video, I love it. I think it's so funny. And the four of them are standing right next to each other. They sing the song. The two in the middle aren't playing instruments, so they're singing only. But they do this little dance, which my son now follows along with. But they take pictures. They must have videoed it or filmed it in about 20 different places and swap. So I thought it was really good. But yeah, the Dead South, really good. If you read the lyrics, you'll understand a bit of funny. It's kind of funny, the lyrics. And some of their songs are pretty weird, like topic-wise. But this is a really cool, fun song to listen to. So the Dead South, watch it. It's called In Hell, I'll Be in Good Company. And let me know down below what you think of it. But yeah, what about you?
Mine is an Australian band called Camp Cope. A friend of mine, Sarah Thompson, Tomo, plays drums with them.
Okay.
I've got a great new song out called Running with the Hurricane. Absolutely wonderful. These girls are absolutely brilliant. And they also went on Triple J to do like a version and did a version of a song called 17 Going Under, which I actually think is better than the original. And yeah, Camp Cope, they're really a band for me that are going to do really well and everything like that. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Tomo. I'm a big fan of her. I worked with her. She's a great girl, but she's gone into an awesome band. And yeah, Camp Cope, check them out.
Cool, no problems at all. Sounds good. So yeah, that's our first Zoom, Dan.
Oh, I know. Might be the first of many, but it's the way we're going to have to go for a little while, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll be this way for a while, I think. So that's all right. We can still get along and do it. No problems at all. But for those listening, just bear with us. It's the first time we've done it. So just to let us get used to the idea of audio and video and make sure it's all correct. So down the track, it gets better and better. And but thanks for watching and thanks for listening.
Yes, also. And thanks to you, Chris, and everything like that. See you all later. We will have another scintillating topic.
Yeah, but subscribe and tell your friends, and we'll talk soon. Thanks for listening
to I'm going to yell out because I've got an open here. Just go subscribe to the Music Bar Podcast.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.